The moment Sophie Cunningham posted just 3 words, the reaction online was immediate. Some fans praised her confidence. Others thought the response added fuel to an already heated conversation surrounding physical play, player protection, and the growing spotlight around the WNBA. And that's what makes this story more interesting than a simple social media headline. Because behind those 3 words is a bigger conversation about image, loyalty, criticism, and how players navigate public pressure in today's sports culture. Over the last few seasons, the WNBA has experienced unprecedented attention. Much of that attention has centered around stars like Caitlin Clark, but it has also extended to teammates, rivals, coaches, and even role players who suddenly find themselves at the center of online debates. And according to recent discussions among fans and media personalities, Sophie Cunningham's recent response became another example of how quickly social media moments can explode into national sports conversations. For those unfamiliar with the context, Sophie Cunningham has long been known as a passionate and emotional player. Throughout her WNBA career, she has built a reputation for toughness, intensity, and standing up for teammates. Some fans admire that style because they believe it brings energy and competitiveness to the game. Others argue that emotional moments can sometimes distract from basketball itself. Either way, Cunningham has rarely avoided speaking her mind, and that personality has become part of her public identity. The backlash that sparked this recent moment reportedly came after fans criticized her comments and behavior connected to ongoing debates around physicality in women's basketball. As WNBA coverage has grown, every hard foul, every heated exchange, and every post-game comment now receives far more scrutiny than it would have just a few years ago. And with social media amplifying every clip within seconds, players are often responding not just to reporters anymore, but directly to millions of fans online. According to reports and fan discussions circulating online, Cunningham responded to criticism with a brief 3-word message that many interpreted as defiant and unapologetic. Depending on who you ask, the response either showed confidence under pressure or reflected the increasingly confrontational tone that sometimes surrounds sports discourse online. What's fascinating here is how much power short responses now carry in modern sports culture. Years ago, an athlete might give a quick quote in a locker room and the story would disappear within a day. Now, a 3-word post can dominate sports talk shows, fan pages, reaction videos, and comment sections for an entire week. That doesn't necessarily mean the response itself was shocking. In many ways, the internet often magnifies these moments beyond their original intention. And that leads to the bigger question: why are fans reacting so strongly? Part of the answer likely involves the current environment surrounding the WNBA. The league is in a unique moment of growth. Television ratings are rising. Social media engagement is climbing. Games are receiving more national attention than ever before. But increased visibility also means increased criticism. Every player action becomes part of a larger narrative. For players connected in any way to Caitlin Clark discussions, the attention becomes even more intense. Clark's arrival brought millions of new viewers into the league. Some longtime fans appreciate the exposure, while also wanting coverage to remain balanced across the entire WNBA. Meanwhile, newer fans often passionately defend Clark whenever they believe she is being treated unfairly. As a result, almost every interaction surrounding Indiana Fever games can quickly become polarized online. Sophie Cunningham's name has occasionally surfaced within these conversations, because fans often view her as someone willing to defend teammates or embrace a more physical style of play. Supporters say that toughness has always been part of basketball. Critics argue that certain moments cross the line between competitive intensity and unnecessary drama. Both perspectives exist simultaneously, which explains why reactions online are often divided. What's important, though, is separating confirmed facts from emotional interpretations. There is a difference between reporting what was actually said and projecting motives onto a player. In many online debates, fans sometimes assume intent without fully understanding context. That happens across all sports, not just the WNBA. Reports suggest Cunningham herself has generally remained consistent in how she presents her personality publicly. She often comes across as direct, competitive, and emotionally invested in the game. To some fans, her three-word response simply reflected that same attitude. To others, it seemed dismissive toward legitimate criticism. Neither interpretation can be treated as objective fact because much of it depends on personal perspective. And honestly, this says a lot about the modern athlete experience. Today's players are expected to be accessible, authentic, entertaining, careful, marketable, and constantly visible all at once. That's an almost impossible balance to maintain. One short post can suddenly become headline news. One facial expression during a game can trend for hours online. Athletes are performing not only during games anymore, but continuously in the public eye. That pressure has especially increased in women's basketball because the audience has grown so rapidly. With more media attention comes more debate, more analysis, and unfortunately sometimes more hostility. Fans are reacting emotionally because they care deeply about the players and the league. But emotional investment can also create echo chambers where every moment becomes exaggerated into something bigger. Another important layer here is how differently fans interpret confidence depending on the athlete involved. Some players are praised for being outspoken and competitive. Others receive criticism for similar behavior. That inconsistency exists across professional sports and often shapes public reaction more than the actual event itself. For example, in men's basketball, fiery personalities are frequently celebrated as signs of leadership or passion. In women's sports, reactions can sometimes become more complicated. Some viewers applaud intensity, while others label the same behavior negatively. That double standard has been discussed for years by athletes, analysts, and fans alike. So when Sophie Cunningham gives a short, blunt response to criticism, people naturally project larger meanings onto it. Supporters may see confidence and authenticity. Critics may see stubbornness or provocation. The reality is probably more nuanced than either extreme. Fans reacting online have also pointed out how quickly sports discussions now turn personal. Instead of debating gameplay or strategy, conversations sometimes become centered around attacking character or motives. That trend is not unique to Cunningham. It affects many athletes across the WNBA, including Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and several other high-profile players who regularly dominate sports headlines. And this is where the conversation becomes bigger than one viral response. The WNBA is navigating a period of explosive growth while simultaneously trying to maintain respect, balance, and professionalism amid non-stop online commentary. Every controversy becomes part of the league's evolving identity in the national spotlight. Some analysts believe these viral moments are actually helping grow interest in the league. Heated debates generate clicks, engagement, and visibility. Sports history shows that rivalries, emotional personalities, and strong opinions often attract viewers. Others worry that too much focus on drama overshadows the actual basketball being played. There's probably truth in both arguments. The increased attention absolutely brings new audiences to the sport. But it also creates a risk where narratives become more important than games themselves. When fans spend more time arguing about social media posts than discussing player performance, the conversation can shift away from basketball. Still, it's impossible to deny the impact these moments have. Cunningham's response became news because fans are emotionally invested. Whether they supported her or criticized her, people cared enough to engage. That level of attention reflects how dramatically the WNBA's cultural relevance has grown. Another factor worth discussing is how athletes choose to handle criticism publicly. Some ignore backlash completely. Others respond directly. Neither strategy guarantees positive results. In Cunningham's case, the short response reportedly resonated with supporters who appreciated her refusal to back down. But it also intensified criticism from fans who felt the response lacked accountability or reflection. That tension highlights a difficult reality for professional athletes. Silence can sometimes be interpreted as weakness or avoidance. Responding can create even more controversy. There is rarely a perfect public relations answer in emotionally charged sports debates. And to be fair, fans themselves are not a monolith. Social media often creates the illusion that one opinion dominates, when in reality audiences are deeply divided. For every fan criticizing Cunningham, another fan may be praising her competitiveness. For every viewer calling the response inappropriate, another may view it as harmless confidence. According to recent discussions online, many fans also connected this moment to broader concerns about player safety and physical play in the league. Physical basketball has always existed in the WNBA. Veterans from previous eras frequently point out that tough defense and emotional intensity are nothing new. But with more cameras, more viral clips, and more casual viewers watching now, these moments receive a level of attention that previous generations rarely experienced. That creates an interesting generational divide among fans. Some longtime viewers feel newer audiences overreact to normal basketball physicality. Meanwhile, newer fans sometimes interpret those same moments as signs of targeting or hostility. Both sides bring different expectations into the conversation. And somewhere in the middle are the players themselves, trying to compete while navigating nonstop media attention. Sophie Cunningham's three-word response may ultimately be remembered as a relatively small moment in a much larger cultural shift happening around women's basketball. But small moments often reveal bigger truths. In this case, the reaction showed how emotionally invested fans have become in the league's personalities, rivalries, and narratives. It also showed how difficult it is to control public perception once a conversation takes off online. Athletes can explain themselves repeatedly, but fans will still interpret events through their own perspectives and loyalties. That's simply the reality of modern sports culture. What makes this situation particularly interesting is that Cunningham didn't deliver a lengthy statement or detailed defense. The simplicity of the response is part of why it spread so quickly. Short messages often allow audiences to fill in the blanks themselves. And once fans start attaching their own interpretations, debates can spiral far beyond the original comment. At the same time, moments like this reveal how passionate the WNBA audience has become. Years ago, a brief player response might not have generated national discussion. Today, it becomes trending sports content across multiple platforms. That visibility reflects genuine growth for the league, even if some of the conversations become messy or divisive. Looking ahead, the bigger challenge for the WNBA may not be avoiding controversy entirely. Every major sports league deals with heated debates and strong personalities. The challenge is making sure the basketball itself remains at the center of the attention. Because beneath the headlines, there's still incredible talent across the league. Players are competing at an elite level. Young stars are expanding the audience. Veterans continue pushing the game forward. And despite disagreements online, that growth benefits everyone connected to women's basketball. As for Sophie Cunningham, reactions to her response will likely continue depending on individual fan perspectives. Some viewers will always appreciate athletes who stay unapologetically themselves. Others will prefer more measured public responses. Neither side is disappearing anytime soon. But maybe the most revealing part of this entire story is not the three-word response itself. Maybe it's the fact that such a small moment generated such a massive reaction. That tells you everything about where women's basketball stands right now in the sports world. People are watching closely. People care deeply. And every comment, every rivalry, and every emotional moment now carries national attention. So the question becomes, as the WNBA continues growing, will these viral controversies ultimately strengthen fan engagement and league visibility, or could they eventually distract too much from the actual game on the court?